अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, मैं हूँ तंजीला खान एंड वेलकम टू ब्रेन मसाला विद मी। आज के जो मेरे मेहमान हैं बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग हैं। आई एम गोइंग टू बी इन कॉन्वर्सेशन विद नताशा नूरानी, जिनका गाना तो है छोड़ो, लेकिन मैं नहीं आज उनको छोड़ने वाली। उनके गाने ने मेरे जो ट्रिप्स हैं ना इस्लामाबाद एंड बैक खुशगवार बना दिए। लाइक वादियाँ, इनका खूबसूरत गाना और हल्के फुल्की सी स्नैकिंग से मुझे याद आया कि आज मेरे एक और भी मेहमान हैं और वो हैं उमर अली खान, who is actually the executive director of Gloria jeans. But you know what? वो ठाट बाट वाला सीन नहीं है। This person is so down to earth. You actually go to Gloria jeans and sometimes you'll actually be served by him. And if you ask him कि क्या सीन है भाई, he'll be like, हाँ वो एक लड़का छुट्टी पे था ना, सोचा मैं ही ज़रा सर्व कर लूँ। I think these are the kinds of examples that we need to set in our community with entrepreneurs and musicians के जो audience को भी इतना दीवाना कर दें कि मैं बोलूँ प्लीज़ मेरे आप शो पे आएँ, मेरी पॉडकास्ट पे आएँ। So welcome both of you. Thank you so much for giving me your time and let's start from today. So क्या हो रहा है आजकल? What's new and exciting? Anyone?
I'll start. Thank you for having us on the show. This is great and super exciting. आजकल ये चल रहा है कि there's absolute chaos. तो कुछ समझ नहीं आ रही कि schedule क्या है, but lots of really interesting projects in the work, which are secret projects for the most part, but when you know a secret project's coming up, that's always a good sign in the music scene. But doing a lot of archival work, doing a lot of just day-to-day kind of creative writing in the studio, lots of messiness, so good things, bad things, but getting through it.
Amazing. And you were hosting PSL also. How was that experience?
So I was the brand manager for the PSL this year. That was great. It was exciting. It was for 3-4 months of absolute chaos. It was so great working with Nasibo Lal and, you know, Zulfi and Young Stunners, etc., to work on the anthem and develop and curate that. And for that to reach like tens of millions of people in Pakistan and have the conversation where Nasibo Lal is front and center. It was really, really exciting. And cricket though is like always great.
Of course. And in a minute, we'll come back to the success of your amazing single, Choro, which I am all over about. Coming to you, Omar, what's going on aajkal?
I guess I would echo that notion of chaos. कि अभी के लिए तो बस जो पिछले साल 1.5 साल से कोशिश चल रही है वो तकरीबन यही है कि हम लोग अपने किश्तियों को आप कह लें कि तैरते रखें कि वो डूबे ना. In other words, keep our businesses going and just make sure that we can navigate through this storm and come out the other side stronger and not let go of the people who are with us on this journey on the way. और उनसे एक environment कुछ ऐसी create करें जहाँ पे they feel like they belong to an organization that looks after them, and we in turn get the ability to sort of weather this storm as well as we can. So
absolutely. And I think this entire period of the pandemic has been very tough for you as well. How hard was it for you and Gloria jeans?
Yeah, it's been really tough, but it's been tough for everyone really. अभी तो जिसको कह लेना कि सिर्फ ये कहना कि हम पे ही सिर्फ आज़ाब आया हुआ है तो वो तो बिल्कुल भी मुनासिब नहीं है, ना ही सच है. तो ये तो पूरी दुनिया के लिए एक चैलेंज है और एक टेस्ट है जिसके लिए सारे ही जद्दोजहद कर रहे हैं जितनी भी वो लोग कर सकते हैं, और उतना ही हम लोग भी कर रहे हैं. तो जितना हमसे हो सकता है उतना किया, और अभी तक शुक्र है कि जी हम लोग जिस तरह मैं अपने अक्सर ही लोगों को कहता हूँ, अभी तक किश्ती डूबी नहीं, बस इतना ही काफ़ी है.
डूबेगी भी नहीं.
वो भागना जो है वो बाद में हो जाएगा, अभी हमने उसको तैरते रखना है, बस इतना ही काफ़ी है.
And congratulations, because Gloria jeans has opened indoor also, और दोबारा से you know things are settling back, so inshallah you'll be fine. And we'll keep coming and bugging you for good coffee.
Anytime.
Yeah. I used to go pick up my coffee from Gloria jeans during the pandemic. I just honk, someone would come, take my order, do everything, and so I wouldn't even have to step into a Gloria. So patronizing during the pandemic as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. See, I think Gloria has been part of our lives in different ways. For example, जब मैं किसी पब्लिक टॉक के लिए जाती थी, सो आई वुड ऑलवेज कैरी दिस कप विद मी, एंड कभी कभी वो स्टेज पे भी मेरे हाथ में होता था. सो आई बीन गिविंग यू ब्रांडिंग, यू नो, बिकॉज इट वॉज सो गुड. आई वाज लाइक, आई नीड दिस डोज every 2 minutes.
Also, I think what Gloria Jeans did over the past 4 or 5 years for like someone like me was that like fresh graduates didn't उस वक्त co-working spaces वगैरह कुछ इस तरह बने हुए नहीं थे, ना तो आपके पास कोई access होता है. So every time you needed like a safe space to have a meeting with somebody that you didn't know, whether it was a sponsor or someone else you're dealing with, you just go to Gloria Jeans because it's like the easiest public access space, and हर कहीं हर नुक्कड़ पे तो Gloria Jeans
मिल जाता था. And that is so rightly
yeah.
put, Natasha, कि we always found this space to be more safe and more prestigious to have a good meeting with, you know, with a good client where we want to set a good impression also. So wow, Omar.
Thank you very much, both. That's very nice to know. But please.
Wonderful. You know, I've known you both. Like, I've met Natasha, I think, once.
Yeah.
I've met you once, and I have met Omar a couple of times. I've approached him for a couple of projects, which some of them materialized and some of them could not. But today, I'd like to know you guys a bit more about your journeys and how did you reach to the point where you are. What are you guys doing? But please, मुझे आपकी CV नहीं सुननी. वो मैं वैसी PDF पे मंगवा लूँगी. So let's start with your journeys from your childhood in a, like, you know, fast forward flashlight mode. के what has been your childhood like, your youth like? You're still young, of course, but your journeys throughout. नहीं, you're still young. You're still young. So who would like to go first?
Please do.
You won. Yeah. You go first.
So music has always been a huge part of my life, and like a lot of that credit goes to my siblings. So I have my parents, and then I have 3 older siblings who are like 12 years older, 11 years older, and 8 years older. So I'm like very much the baby of the house. Which is good and bad, you know, like पानी फिर भी लाना पड़ता है सबके लिए. But
जो घर का छोटा है वो आप हैं.
Yes. But the good thing was that everyone, like Amma had this, you know, for me, this iconic red cassette deck with the 2, you know, cassette की जगहें, and then my sister used to listen to a lot of R&B and hip hop. My brother was into a lot of angsty rock, and then my other brother was super into like reggae in the late 90s, which was, again, so getting access to all this music in the late 90s wasn't normal क्योंकि आपके PTV पे या normal TV channels पे नहीं आ रहा था, but because they knew how to access the internet and torrent things, मैं बस computer पे बैठ के Winamp पे playlists बना रही होती थी, mixtapes from the computer to the, you know, the CD deck that was connected to the tape, figuring out these tiny tech things. So I got very obsessed with these notions there. उनके जो पुराने Walkmans थे, when they were done with it, I would get it, so I would have like a new piece of technology to listen to music on. Then my mother basically would give me a microphone connected to the VHS player and be like, beta jo gana baj raha hai wo gao saath. And I was like 4 or 5. And so I would just be like, yeah, I am it. मैं बड़े होके singer बनूंगी. And my mom be like, beta सिर्फ 2-3 रुपए मिलते हैं. उस वक्त भी हंस के कह रही होती थी. I was like, yeah, mom, whatever. Now in 2021, she's still right. सिर्फ आपको इतने पैसे
I was going to come to it. Do you think she was right?
She was 100% right. But you know, they've been like super supportive through that. Then in college, in school, like when I was 14, 15, I started playing the guitar. I crowdfunded back then, by the way. So like, wow. I got called to the principal's office because in O levels, I was like, guys, 14 साल की थी. उस ज़माने में वैसे भी 2006-07 में crowdfunding का concept भी नहीं था. I was clearly ahead of my time. Absolutely. But I still got into trouble for it because I was like, guys, 200 रुपए दे दो अपने घर से ला के 6000 का गिटार मैं ले लूँगी फिर तुम लोगों के लिए गाने बजाने हैं, like to my class fellows. ले आए थे and my teacher was like, you're begging. And I was like, I'm not begging. Like, there's a difference.
You're fundraising.
Yeah, exactly. But I still got into trouble. But then my mom was so embarrassed that I did that, she bought me a guitar anyway. So
yes, I think that route kind of worked, huh?
Yes. So lots of like gigs in O levels, A levels. I got into a band which is now Taka Tak. So now they play like serious progressive heavy metal, and I'm no longer a part of it because I couldn't growl the way they needed me to, which is fine. We're all okay. And college performed a lot, but then started doing a lot of management and organizing of like college gigs. So that really got me into like sound wale se kis tarah aapne subah ke 4 baje set up karana hai for a show that has to happen 12 hours later. Smaller things that you're picking up at 19, 20, which then eventually helped when we started setting up Lahore Music Meet, which is a annual, or used to be an annual music festival that takes place in Lahore. So these like moments and meeting the right musicians and like kind of having the right environment in which I was obsessively just watching between the ages of like 8 onwards, just watching either MTV or Indus Music more so. Indus Music में इतना देखती थी कि मुझे रटा हुआ था कि उनकी प्रोग्रामिंग साइकिल क्या थी कि अच्छा अगर नजम शराज का गाना बजे इसके बाद अली नूर का आएगा, नूरी का आएगा. That's how like much I would just watch that. So that was just me absorbing everything that I feel like now is making sense as to how I'm applying it to life. But yeah, I've been lucky to just have access to a lot of this. And my brother used to play guitar growing up, Sameer Bhai, so although he didn't teach me, but he had his guitar around.
You were influenced.
He was cool, yeah. He used to play Lifehouse songs, so that he was a huge influence in that sense as well. So super lucky to have grown up and made the right choices and learned from mistakes that I've made as well.
And we can clearly see that because now you're picking up really quality projects. It's clicking well with today's young population. I think we need to connect with our local musicians for all the right reasons. Yes. And we'll come back to that thought in a bit. Umar, how much trouble did you get into in growing up?
Growing up?
Yeah, I would like to know. I want to imagine Omar Ali Khan, getting a punishment, standing in the corner or something. Did that happen? All these kind of things?
No, of course not.
I was just joking. I knew it could never happen.
Certainly nothing I would like to confess on air.
Always a good boy.
I think I had a fairly mellow childhood, actually. My siblings who were fairly studious and myself being of the same stock, I was moving along the same lines as well. मेरा sort of शुरू से passion मैम की तरह I guess इनका music रहा है, मेरा ज़रा थोड़ा सा fine arts की तरफ ज़्यादा रहा है, although music technically is a fine art, but I mean sort of pictures and sculptures and things like that. So I often tell people that God gave me no talent for it, but He gave me a passion for it. So what I can do best is to help promote those things wherever I am. तो शुरू से ही एक चीज़ जो है वो मेरी अम्मी जो है वो she used to do textile art, so sort of weaving type art, और उनकी हमारे घर में बहुत सारी pictures भी लगी हुई हैं, बहुत सारी नहीं, थोड़ी सी लगी हुई हैं, but anyways मेरा I guess जो ज़्यादा focus शुरू से ही रहा है वो towards the sciences and mathematics and all those sorts of things जो कि I guess स्कूलों में थोसे जाते हैं हमारे minds में. तो जो म्यूज़िक एंड आर्ट्स वाला पैशन है वो हमेशा से पर्सनली रहा है और उसको पर्सनली ही कल्टिवेट किया है, पर्सनली उस पर काम किया है. बट आई गेस जब से ग्लोरिया जीन्स ज्वाइन की है तब से तो जो इवन एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड है एंड ऑल दोस सॉर्ट्स ऑफ थिंग्स हैव बीन सॉर्ट ऑफ लेफ्ट बिहाइंड. नाउ इट्स ऑल strictly business and learning new things, because I have no background in business. I wasn't trained as a business person. I was trained as a scientist. I worked as a scientist for a long time, for 10 years almost. So when Gloria Jeans itself जो है वो मेरी बहन ने start करवाया था, and she was the one sort of the brains and the muscle behind the brand initially. But when she left in 2015 or 16, that's when I joined and I came in and started doing this. But yeah, जहाँ तक I'm afraid इतनी excitement मेरी life में नहीं है जितनी हमारे fellow interviewee की में सुनने को मिल रहा है. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much.
Acha, वैसे do you think you guys are living your passion today? Like you have come into business, ठीक है, but do you think it has become your passion and these ideas of spaces जहाँ पे coffee तो चले you're selling, but community इकट्ठी हो रही है, do you think that has become your passion? And same question for you, Natasha, also you can think about it.
Do you want the honest answer?
Absolute honest answer.
No, I'm not at all enamored with what I do.
And what would you like to do?
What would I like to do? I'd like
this.
to live in a big empty house and just read and write for the rest of my life. That's what I would absolutely love to do. But and just look at beautiful things like good paintings and great pieces of performing art and whatever. But
theater?
Yeah, a little
Watching
bit.
theater?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of theater, but
And
I haven't
traveling
been. I haven't done a lot of theater going in Pakistan, so I don't know much about it. But I've just been sort of instructing myself in Pakistani art, sort of for the last 4 or 5 years, because I knew nothing about it. So अभी थोड़ा सा ज़रा अपने आप को ना उसमें educate करना शुरू किया है और देखना शुरू किया है कि कौन क्या है, who's good, who's bad, and you know things. Just understanding the lay of the land. But नहीं, Gloria jeans तो Tanzila, it's आप कह लो कि फैमिली ऑब्लिगेशन है कि वो तो देखना ही है कि अगर बुलावा आ गया तो जी आ जाओ, वापस आ जाओ और आके ये देख लो तुम्हारी बहन भाग गई है, अब तुम आ जाओ अब तुम आ जाओ. तो इसलिए
आपको फंसा के वो चली गई है.
बिल्कुल जी, फंसा के गई है वो. उसको तकरीबन रोज़ाना ये एहसास दिला रहे होते हैं कि कहाँ फंसा गई है, लेकिन डेफिनेटली फंसा के चली गई है. बट हर अचीवमेंट आई कांट स्पीक टू हाईली ऑफ, because it wasn't easy for her to do whatever the wonderful things that you said about us not very long ago, just a few minutes ago. All the credit goes to her because she did the hard work. मेरा काम तो यही है कि वो ट्रेन को पटरी पे रखना है बस, जो लेकिन वो ही उसको चला के लेके गई थी.
आई थिंक दोनों अपनी जगह पे इम्पॉर्टेंट टास्क हैं. एक चीज़ को इनिशिएट करना, दैट रिस्क टेकिंग इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड शुड बी एक्नॉलेज्ड, and to keep up the train going, that too in itself is a journey,
especially in Pakistan.
Exactly. Absolutely. So Natasha, you've come a long way as well, and you are doing a lot that we see that you're really passionate about, but are you actually living your passion?
I feel like I am. I feel like it's taken time to, like, वही कॉलेज जाना पड़ा है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस की डिग्री ले ली है, सारे जो डब्बे टिक करने थे अम्मा अब्बा के लिए वो कर लिए थे. फिर उसके बाद मैंने कहा ओके बाय, and then just kind of dove into doing what I needed to do. And I think
Did they say bye back?
A little bit. They were just like dekhenge, you know, okay beta, you know, that kind of moment. But I think what's nice about right now is that not only am I like getting to live out literally my childhood dreams in that way, but I've also done it on my own. in the sense that किसी से कहीं सिफारिशें नहीं की, जो सारा रगड़ा खाना था उसी के थ्रू मैं गई हूँ. Even though especially in music or entertainment in Pakistan, it's not like I can join a management training program, get a promotion in 2 years, do this, do that. It is very sporadic. So I have had to like bounce between job to job because it's usually project based and things like that. So stability is still, you know, a far cry from where I am, and dur ki baat hai, lekin it's, I feel like if I believe it's in sight, it'll come to me. But despite any kind of like throughout the past 5-6 years, the struggle of setting up a music festival, the struggle of working as a female musician in Pakistan in the entertainment industry, trying to let people know that your musical and visual ideas actually make sense, getting your credibility up as well. I think these tiny things have really made me quite happy with where I am, because maybe 2 years ago I wouldn't acknowledge that, you know, I'm happy or that I'm doing what I want to, because there was still a lot of like angst in me ki acha nahi, this is not, I'm not good enough, I'm not this. But once I kind of tuned out the external voices telling me कि अच्छा यार तुम्हारा काम ख़राब है, below industry standard, ये वो, तो जितने लोगों ने मुझे फ़र्ज़ करो छोड़ो पे रिजेक्ट किया है, अगर मैंने किसी प्रोड्यूसर को भेजा हो, किसी डायरेक्टर को भेजा हो, उन्होंने रिजेक्ट किया 2-3 साल पहले या 2 साल पहले whatever, अब उन्हीं के मुबारकबाद के मैसेज आ रहे हैं कि अच्छा ये बड़ा अच्छा है, ये है. So like it's nice to also be like ha, I knew it. So I'm getting my nice like moment where I'm like जी मुझे पता है, right? Obviously I'm not saying that because I'm not terrible.
मुझे पता है सर मेरा गाना बहुत अच्छा है,
दिल में खुश हूँ, that's all that really matters. But the struggle is that it's an active decision to make every single day कि अच्छा यार मैंने musician ही रहना है. And like sometimes money wise it becomes an issue. Like I said, 2-3 rupees is not sustainable for lifetime living. So I do foray into other projects that help me like come up with money to be able to invest in myself, because the one thing that I pride myself on is that no one else has ever paid for my music. I have not taken money from any, you know, sponsor or brand to make my own music at this point. उनके गाने वो अलग बात है, लेकिन जो मेरे अपने गाने, that's all like self-funded. So I think that is also key for me to be able to make the audio-visual packages that I want to, and that really reflect me without having to sprinkle it with whatever masala somebody else needs, or tone it down to whatever, you know, is appropriate for somebody else. So I think I'm finding my kind of stride in the moment and quite happy in that sense.
And I think, Natasha, the strategy or the road that you've taken, it would take more time, as we have learned and seen in the past also, but that is the right way to go about it if you want to do something quality. And I congratulate you on that, for keeping that mindset. And I can quite relate to you also. Recently एक short film हमने बनाई Fruit Chart के नाम से. It's a comedy short film on disability, and I wrote it like 2 years ago, and I went to every local production house जो वैसा ही content बना रहा था. And I got a straight way no कि नहीं, the girl is too happy. Why is she so happy on the wheelchair? She's supposed to be crying. मैंने कहा मैं उनको जूतियाँ पढ़वा देती हूँ आपके कहने पे. लेकिन जब कोई sponsor नहीं मिला, we went ahead and we did it ourselves. For some good reason, Allah's will, we got the money. वो personally मेरी savings निकल आई. We made the short film, it came out, we won the Z5 award also. और
सबने which is huge, by the way, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Natasha. And I got a personal call from Omar Ali Khan, I saw it, I was like, this is different, I'm getting a call to congratulate me. So thank you for that, made me really happy.
It was great. I thought it was great. I told you, right? It was,
yes.
What really struck me was the tone of defiance in that, because there was a lot of comedy in it, of course, but I told you that quite often we see physically challenged or otherwise challenged individuals being handled almost with rubber gloves or kick gloves, if you would, and that's almost as diminishing to the other as being patronizing to them, like blatantly patronizing them.
Absolutely.
So I thought that came out really well, and I don't think it was I'm not sure how much of that was intended, but it came out really well. Maybe it was just one of those sort of wonderful surprises that comes from storytelling, from good storytelling, but it's not often that you sort of see that being talked about, whether it's as I said, any sort of disability that may be, कि वो यार आप जितना आप क्या लोग उर्दू में क्या कहेंगे कि सर पे चढ़ा के हमें treat करोगे, तो it's not actually uplifting, it's almost, it has the opposite effect on somebody. So I was really I really enjoyed that part of of the story. I thought that was really well done. It was very subtle, it was very sub rosa almost, कि जी आप उसको वाकई खींच के निकालो उस story को, लेकिन नहीं, I enjoyed. I didn't know कि वो it won an award, but it was well deserved.
Thank you so much.
Obviously well deserved.
Thank you so much. And I think throughout that journey also I realized कि सिर्फ physical impairment ही disability नहीं होती है. कभी कभी इंसान जो normal चलता फिरता है, privileged है, पैसा है, सब कुछ है उसके पास, वो भी तरह तरह की disability से गुजर रहा होता है. कभी आपकी ज़िंदगी में ऐसा feel हुआ है कि you felt disabled by anything, या you experienced disability, impairment of the body in any way?
I mean, I don't think that I could say that I have felt disabled in any way in that sense, but I can definitely say that I felt marginalized because of my body. आपको भी पता है इंडस्ट्री स्टैंडर्ड साइज़ 0 से लेकर साइज़ 4 तक चलता है, मैं उन साइजेस में नहीं हूँ. So that has been a reason why people have chosen to not work with me in the past. And growing up, you obviously have so when we were especially growing up, like in our teens, we didn't have so much body positivity growing up. अब तो आपको बहुत ज़्यादा मिलेगी, more so. Even के आपके major clothing brands आजकल are finally admitting to the fact that there's not just one size of model that exists. But for the fact that as a musician, for somebody to also require you to look a certain way, I was like, but my music is an audio experience primarily. And then it's a visual thing, and even visual mein kya masla hai? So it's taken me a long time to kind of come to terms with the fact that I am Haseen and I am beautiful and I am the industry standard. And that came out a lot in Choro as well, where I was like, I would like to look like what I wanted to see growing up. It's not like even right now where I'm sitting in front of you, I think that I look great. But I know that some auntie will be like, beta, thoda sa to tum gym to chali jao. Ya thoda sa, eating zara kam kar lo. And I'll be like, gee, okay, sure. So, like...
Natasha, hum aisi auntie kabhi nahi banenge.
No. We will be the auntie who's like, beta, ek aur wala kha lo.
Samosa khao beta, chocolate khao beta.
Bahut, so in that sense, it's just the policing of a body, of a woman's body that takes place in Pakistani entertainment in general. So not just music, but drama serial mein, the minute you get a little bulky, you are the mom now as opposed to the heroine. And you know, which is interesting because if you look at art from different social stratas, the ideal female body type is not skinny. The Punjabi woman, the headliner Punjabi woman is not skinny.
Absolutely. But जो हमारी पुरानी heroines थी, वो इतनी relatable थी.
I mean, that's the point, right? You had like a normalcy to it. And so now, because the standard had been set such, I was like, look, I'm not like, and that's also one of the struggles I had growing up, was it would have been easy for me to slap on some makeup and sing a pretty song and be like, hey guys, I'm a pretty girl singing a pretty song. But I didn't want to do that because that's also not, I don't think I would have managed it by the industry standard because wo acceptance hi na aati. B, I just didn't feel like that was the right route to take. But now I'm feeling so much more comfortable in my body and who I am, and that's thanks to like meeting like wonderful communities of women around us and just seeing other people like just not be ashamed of their body, which is massive in Pakistan, just like carrying so much shame and so much weight associated with the way that you look, because you have to look a certain way because shaadiyan bhi honi hai, because agar wo nahi hogi to aapki success kidhar aayegi. So it's just like, no, it's fine. No one cares.
You know, you've actually capsuled it so well that it's all connected and it all goes back to your weight. Like, and sometimes it's not the amount of food you're putting in your body. It's also genetics. It's also how you, it's also the climate. It's also the availability of whatever is available to you. अब अगर इतनी दावतें हो रही हैं, mostly जो हमारा पाकिस्तान की जो डाइट है, कुजीन है, वो बहुत हैवी डाइट है. वो डीप फ्राइड ऑयल में हर चीज़ पकनी है, और अगर आप खाना किसी के घर जाके नहीं खाएंगे तो आप फिर बहुत बदतमीज़ हैं, ऑफेंस ले जाएंगे लोग. जो मेरा होम टाउन है खानपुर, वहाँ पे जब दावत करते हैं तो एक पूरा बकरा पेश किया जाता है, ठीक है, और इस बकरे की डिशेस बनती हैं. लाइक 4 people in the family are, and we go to somebody's house, and if we don't eat a substantial portion of each dish, then we have insulted the host. Absolutely. And my dad would give me that, you know, death stare wali look, you have to eat. And I'm like, okay. And this funny incident कि कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स आती हैं, ठीक है, और हम चारों का एक ही बहाना होता है, हमारा गला ख़राब है. तो वो द जो होस्ट होते हैं वो कहते हैं आप चारों का गला इकट्ठे ख़राब हो गए. हम लगा अब क्या करें, कितना कम खा लेंगे.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think these issues are here to stay. It's more cultural also. So Omar, what about you? Have you ever felt disabled in your own way? Kabhi?
I can't say. I can't say that because those are very strong words, disabled and marginalized, and ऐसी मैं कोई काम का स्टोरी बना लूँ तो वो I guess the most I can say is I've been around people who are either physically disabled or psychologically troubled.
You have been around them.
Yeah, either professionally or personally in both circumstances. But Tanzila, I think rather than me sort of manufacturing situations and then inserting myself into them, I can't even imagine the sorts of things that you guys are talking about. Maybe that's just because of my gender, maybe that's just because of the social background that I come from, education, whatever it is. But certainly I've seen it all around me, and I've been participating in it insofar as the other is concerned, but nahi, self pe agar
directly
baat kare,
affect you. But I'm sure you have problems. I mean, currently you're trapped in Gloria jeans, so that is
nahi, problems. Problems and disability. As I said before, the first thing I said, at least the plain meaning of the words disabled and marginalized or troubled, those are very strong meanings. Those are very pregnant words. So yes, obviously as a human being I have problems, and some of them are very important and significant to me, at least in my mind. But I wouldn't dare to suggest that any one of them raises to the status of actually debilitating me to the extent that I would say, oh, it's become a disability. You're also a good problem solver. You like to
take care of the problem right then, before it becomes a disability for you.
I might on occasion be very good at ignoring problems.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure if I'm very good at solving them. So I
think that's also a strategy.
Yes, it is.
It's definitely a strategy.
It's the old head in the sand trick, mate.
You have a problem, you ignore it.
It's the best way to do some things, I tell you. But anyways, on a more serious note, I mean, whatever trouble, whether call it be blessed or whatever, I wouldn't dare to say, as I said before, that I've had to solve any sort of problem that is tantamount to
become a disability for you.
Becoming a disability.
But I've also seen that you're also very sensitized about how you deal with people. That could also. So I'm sure that your experiences have also brought a lot of karma stories in your life. So any fun stories you can share with us, good or bad karma?
I mean, I think that the best karma moments for me is watching people who very much did not have faith in me, like have a quick 180 turn and come back to me. It's nice. I'm very polite about how I deal with it, with thank you and a smiley face emoji.
No. You should rub it in their face. See, like two people telling you that.
मेरे 2-3 दोस्त होते हैं जिनको मैं वो screenshot भेजती हूँ and I'm like lols, ये देखो क्या हुआ है, update, headline. उसके बाद बस like थोड़ा सा you need a little celebratory moment. I have that. It's a private space little dance that I do where I'm like I told you so, and then I basically so but it's nice to have to for people to who were maybe initially arrogant or just kind of non-believing or getting in my way. That's my favorite bit. Someone not believing in you, fine, not an issue, but someone who is like actively getting in your way for something that you're very like transparently trying to achieve, as not on the shoulders of anyone else. But when they have to admit that, they were getting in the way, or that they now have to come to terms with the fact that I was on the right path, it's nice to watch.
Absolutely.
There was a famous English socialite who very famously said, you should live life to the fullest and enjoy it to the fullest, but always make sure to the very extent possible you should do it at somebody else's expense. So it's the same thing with karma and your story there. Certainly you should enjoy it at their expense.
It's true. I need to be better at that. I need to revel in it a bit more.
I would. Certainly most people would.
Exactly. What about you, Omar? Any fun stories you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm not sure fun is the correct word, but certainly as far as karma is concerned, we were just talking off air, as they say, about how I, am hesitant to believe in the concept. But
really? You don't believe in karma?
Not particularly. Science doesn't lend itself particularly well to...
I should have known. Science is in the house.
to what might otherwise be called arbitrary coincidence. But that's of course besides the point. बहुत ही controversial subject है और शायद उस पे नहीं जा.
You remind me of CID. If you watch CID, वो जो भी prove करने लगे हैं नहीं, लेकिन science नहीं इसको मानती. हम नहीं prove कर सकते.
Okay. Is CID like your generation's what was it called? NCIS?
It's the Indian version of that.
CID came on Sony TV. Our childhood, heroes.
CID तो अच्छा सोनी तो आता ही नहीं पाकिस्तान में. हिंदुस्तानी टीवी तो बैन है पाकिस्तान में.
नहीं, ये हमारे बचपन की बातें हैं.
उस ज़माने में सबके पास केबल और डिश.
All right. Okay, fair enough. No, I think the closest I've come to sort of karma moments are when I feel like I've been right in a decision I've made in a business situation or in a personal situation, and it's been contrary to what others might have expected that situation or how that situation would involve. I think that's probably the closest I've come to sort of karma moments, or something that I would describe as potential karma moments, although I am, jokes aside, I am quite averse to put them down to karma or to consider that be a component of anything that happens.
लेकिन ऐसा नहीं हुआ कभी कि of course there were people, जैसे Natasha ने बताया, some people did doubt her. growing up, but then she proved them wrong. So did people doubt you and you kind
Yeah,
of changed
yeah,
the
yeah.
game?
So,
What happened? Did you rub it in their face?
So I did. I'm sure I did. Obviously, I wouldn't admit it, nor would I know that I did. In fact, it's other people who usually tend to sort of notice these things rather than oneself. तो मेरे ख्याल में जब doubting जो थी ना वो I think my educational choices created a lot of doubt, like going to America for my education. My chosen pathway created a lot of doubt because I became a research scientist as opposed to a physician. Very early on, I decided that I didn't have the patience to look at patients, no patience for patients, and okay. I don't necessarily value human life to the extent that it would drive me each and every day to be passionate about that job in quite the same way as I was passionate about my research work. There was a lot of doubt about that because, like, as in music, in science, researchers are sort of the bottom of the barrel kinds. We don't make a lot of money, but on the upside, we get to see things that you won't for another 20 years.
Even scientists are not making money, then who is making money?
सारे वो जो sales and marketing वाले होते हैं ना, सारे वो लोग बना जाते हैं.
Illuminati are making money.
जो पहले से ही अमीर होते हैं ना, सिर्फ वही पैसे बना रहे होते हैं.
Only the rich are getting richer.
हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. Anyways, that's a long discussion.
अगर आप दोनों एक एक रंग होते तो वो कौन सा रंग होते? Not your favorite color, but if you guys yourself in your own way were a color, आप कौन सा रंग होते और क्यों?
I would be iridescent.
Is that a color?
Yeah, वो जो shiny वाला नहीं होता.
Goodness, I need to Google right away.
हाँ नहीं, वो जो चमकीला like जो मिठाई जिसमें नहीं आती, वो जो रैपर एक होता है सिल्वर सा, जिसमें सारे रंग होते हैं वो.
Spell it again. What's the name?
Iridescent.
Goodness.
It's like
I have homework after this podcast.
As a matter of fact, did you know it's not actually genetically impossible to make sure that you are that? You would have heard of glowing rabbits, and you would have heard of glowing fish. Like, what are those little
Natasha,
orange?
are you getting ideas for your next video?
I'm just like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do this.
I think you can have that glitter all over you.
वो जो bioluminescent type of like pani shani.
Which is exactly what you're talking about.
So how does it work really? Like you inject something and then your body can glow.
Glow stick की तरह आपने अपना हाथ को तोड़ना होता है फिर वो आप. No, I'm joking.
No. It's all about genetics. You've seen fireflies, right? They have an innate capacity to create light through chemical reactions and whatnot. So, in effect, there's nothing sort of genetically improbable or even impossible for us to stop or for us not to be glowing. But obviously that would involve a lot of poking around and this and that.
Yeah, I think. And you don't have time for that, right?
Yeah, not right now. But maybe in 5 years, I can look to become a jugnu.
है ना?
One big firefly, basically.
क्या बात है?
But that's great. That's actually like bioluminescence.
अब stem cells के लिए आप ऐसे चीजें कर सकते हो जिससे आप हैरान रह जाओगे. We can grow you a new heart in a petri dish.
Amazing.
Amazing. Hearts fail? Forget about it. Just throw it away.
हम टमाटर उगा रहे हैं, ये दिल उगा रहे हैं. This is the balance we need in life.
दिल जाके literally किसी को दे दें. See, I did for you.
Love it.
See, science meets creativity, तो फिर कोई इंतहा नहीं होती. So that is why we need equilibrium of scientists and creative individuals to run this world.
But that's the great thing about music as well, right? There's this infinite capacity for creativity. Infinite capacity. I mean, it is one of the enduring sort of wonders of life that when you look at a piano or you look at a violin and you've got these sort of 7 octaves or 3 strings and you can create and you have people have created hundreds of years of music just based on that, just based on a finite number of things. And it's the same thing with science in many ways. You've got these sort of fundamentals and fundamental truths that you're working with, and obviously you can't sort of move beyond them. But the wonderful thing about it is that the concurrent creativity is just there's infinite possibilities
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. I think we do appreciate
in a way
that.
we're similar in that way.
Exactly.
Because whereas in music you're afforded that infinite capacity for creativity in terms of your notes and strings and harmonies and whatever. In my case, it's all about आपने ये जीन यहाँ कर दिया, उसको nucleotide को इधर से उधर कर दिया. And bingo, you've got a glowing rabbit.
Wow, amazing! I think you guys should collaborate at some point.
This is true. My next music video.
I think it is totally doable.
Glowing rabbits.
I was just wondering, you both have come a long way. You've developed your own mind, and you're also changing the world in your own way. You're setting a standard of an idea with yourself as an example. मुझे बताएं, what is your power, and how do you want to use it to change the world, and who do you want to influence really? For you, Omar, it could be Gloria Jeans as a platform, or you yourself. I mean, you have amazing ideas and you write as well. So you could tell us about that. And you are more than just a singer. I know that you're into artifacts and you have a knack for Asian stuff, and you're really into Pakistan's history as well. So let's just quickly dive into these two oceans in a few minutes. Omar is making notes in his head.
No. You know, it's funny you say that, changing the world and everything, because I remember reading once that everyone should try and change the world in however small a form that you can, because if you succeed, the world will remember you, and if you fail, you'll die, and people will forget you ever existed, and that's you've got nothing to lose to try at least. I don't think I've done anything so far that's in any meaningful way changed the world, nor have I done anything that would be that I would have any reasonable hope of ever intending to change the world, or that would have the consequence of changing the world.
I would differ with that. I'll tell you why. Because I've done my homework, and you have written like really powerful articles. I came across one, and I think that really gave insight into how much you really want to create this world a safe place for women, and that was really empowering. And I think your writing also has a deep level of empathy in it.
I'm not. Anyways, that's for others to judge. But as far as myself, I wouldn't say that it's a safe world for women. I think it's a deep commitment to the value of individual freedoms and the individual's right to live well and however they would like to live that life. Whether that's man, woman, or transgender doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
So I think on that account, I wouldn't say that it's just a safe place for women. That particular experience that you're referring to was just in a way a one-off, but a very instructive experience, because it sort of opened my eyes to the extraordinary and unbelievable almost daily danger that women have to face in this country, and I imagine it's so in other countries as well. But certainly, as a person, as a man, it's hard to even notice, let alone appreciate. और जब मेरी बहन ने उस टाइम पे ये कहा था, as I wrote in the article, ना कि जी ये तो हर वक्त ही होता है. I mean, and that I really lost my mind at that, because oh my God, मेरी बहन के साथ ये हुआ है. I mean,
and it was unbelievable.
बिल्कुल ऐसे ही है.
I'll just quickly point out that Omar wrote an article about eve teasing, something that he had observed, and once he came home and shared, so his sister said, "हाँ, ये तो बड़ी common सी बात है." So I think that the way it changed his mind as a man, because I think we live in the same world but with very different lenses and mindsets. So we're in the same situation, but we would read it very differently.
Yeah. But I would take the opportunity to give a plug to, since you said it was allowed, I would give a plug to the Khan Heritage Foundation, which is our attempt to start to change the world for the better.
Oh, goodness.
अभी heritage की बात हो रही थी, तो the reason for establishing the organization, which is a family-funded organization, is to sort of start investing privately, as the Aga Khan Foundation does in Pakistan's heritage, protecting sites, protecting music, protecting literature, protecting art, promoting civilization, things like that. So अभी चेंजिंग द वर्ल्ड जो है ना वो शुरू होना है अभी तक कुछ नहीं हुआ लेकिन अभी शुरू
प्लानिंग में तो है ना
प्लानिंग जरूर है प्लानिंग
we should definitely look out for some good initiatives from your side. Natasha, what about you?
I don't know if I've changed the world yet. I would like to think that everything I do is to make like the community that is directly around me a little better, and not meaning just like my friends and family, but just the overall, you know, overarching music community, indie musicians, independent artists. More recent, like that's, you know, with through LMM and through a couple of, you know, festivals and initiatives. But I think one of the things that I have been really drawn to has been understanding as heritage, right? Like what is होता है ना कि पाकिस्तानी कल्चर में ये नहीं है, अच्छा नहीं है भाई, तो कॉन्फर्मेशन है आपको, बिकॉज यू डाइव बैक इन 60 years and the kind of female representation, the kind of music you were listening to was so experimental कि अगर आप आज बेचने की कोशिश करें उन गानों को, कहेंगे ये तो पाकिस्तानी ही नहीं है, right? So for me there's such an audio video disconnect growing up 90s, you know, TV, PTV etc. पे आप देखते हैं वही 4-5 very deserving artists, of course, people like Nusrat, Noorjahan, Nazia, you know, all of these artists are constantly revered. लेकिन फिर उस वक्त ये भी होता था ना, अगर कोई पुराना गज़ल लगा देता था, again like mid 2000s, आंटी अंकल हमें डांटते थे कि यार तुम बच्चों को तो पता ही नहीं है. And I used to feel bad. I was like, yeah, I don't know who these guys are, you know, like, you know, beyond a certain list of people कि उस्ताद फलाना के बारे में तुम्हें नहीं पता. And I'm like, nahi pata. And then I would feel like really bad, but I was like, whose fault is that? That's not my fault. That's not. No one told me. Where do I access this? I can find out more about Jimi Hendrix in the 70s than I can about any other artist in Pakistan in the 70s. तो ये किसकी गलती है? मेरी तो नहीं है. तो वो जब मुझे realization हुई a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, okay, let's just try to make sure that we're not this demeaning towards the next generation of kids who wants to learn about their culture, because a lot of what I see today, whether it's, you know, extremism in any form, is because of the fact that we are there's a constant erasure of previous Pakistani culture and moments happening. किसी आपकी institution ने एक चीज़ सही तरह आर्काइव करके पब्लिक एक्सेस नहीं बनाया हुआ, और जो पब्लिक एक्सेस वाली जगह और स्पेसेस होती हैं वो बहुत प्राइवेट एलीट स्पेसेस होती हैं, लोगों के घरों पे महफिलें हो रही होती हैं जहाँ फिर वो उन उस्तादों को बुलाते हैं. अब सबके पास वो, यू नो, सोशल कल्चरल कैपिटल नहीं है कि वो वहाँ एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. And that's the main thing, right? There's the reason that there's a class divide is because you're not even consuming the same media. आप classrooms में syllabus में भी नहीं डालते कि ये, you know, these are the revered artists who are award-winning, you know, people. For me, my favorite example is someone like Sohail Rana. He used to have a children's show in the 70s and 80s. And all of the songs that we sing today, Pakistani, Urdu, children's songs, Dosti Aisa Nata, etc., all of these, Sohail Rana. But more so than that, he was also making songs like Coco Corina. He was also making songs, again, your pop songs. He was also then making experimental albums, which would not sell today. But they're so like above and beyond their time that an electronic artist in Pakistan should be able to just pick up and be like, okay, what is electronic music in Pakistan like from the 70s or the 80s? That access and that kind of cultural knowledge for people of our generation and, you know, below to like all of these like Gen Z kids, for them to be able to know that this is also for us, because India, which is right next door, has done a great job of it. And I mention India because they've got, barring Bollywood as that, they've got a similar social breakup in that sense, the way the society exists, like not the same but similar enough that one can relate themselves to that. All of their institutions are fine. If you go to any major old record label that existed during that time, they will not give you a straight answer as to who owns Pakistan's music. ये जो पुराने आपके पिछले 60-70 साल से गाने आए हुए हैं, रैंडमली लोगों ने YouTube पे अपलोड किए हुए हैं, but who really owns it? So these questions and this kind of like pent up rage is what caused me to found Peshkash. Peshkash is a hub of basically archival music related data, and what that means is that both the act of digitizing older mediums of music from vinyl to cassette to VHS Secondly, oral narratives, because it's so important to be able to speak to individuals who are part of the music industry or part of infrastructure such as, Shalimar or EMI or PTV, their experiences. I'm a geek, so I'm interested in finding out what gear they were using, kaun se camera istemal kar rahe the, us waqt se camera update hue hain wahan ya nahi, is tarah ki like smaller little details like that, because what that does is it gives me a better handle of who I am. Having grown up in Pakistan, who am I? What is the culture that and because I can also relate to a lot of what was happening 50 years ago as opposed to what's happening now. I don't enjoy watching the, dramas that are coming out now, but I really did enjoy watching like 80s dramas by Hasina Moeen, and that shows in my art now as well. So I think and for me, I think that's also why something like Choro also resonated with people, because they saw what I saw in that 80s drama with women being that empowered and that strong and that loud. So for more artists, for more musicians, and even for people who are interested in just straight up research, for them to be able to have that access of this hub, of being able to listen to that music, of being able to gain that knowledge, that really is something that I think will stop this cultural erasure and make sure that aapke artists are, that your own culture is not a secondary thing and is not just state manufactured. These are the two most important things for me.
And I think we'll be linking Peshkash's link with this podcast,
yes,
so
please.
Everybody can have access. And I think you also hold virtual exhibitions, right?
So I do sometimes virtual exhibitions, but a lot of times I do mixes, as we call them online, which is just, kind of a playlist of songs. But through that, it's been very fun to learn storytelling through an hour's worth of music and kind of provide an insight or a snapshot to people to be able to indulge them in digging deeper and kind of finding older music themselves. One of my favorite ones was Beyond Ijazat, because which starts off with a small sample of somebody asking कि आपने शादी के बाद तो आपने गाना ही छोड़ दिया, and then the first song after that is Naughty Boy by Nahid Akhtar, because a lot of the artists we had back then were a lot more fluid and a lot more louder and a lot more they kind of varied in genre, they varied in their art styles and how they presented themselves. So I think these small little things bring me a lot of joy and seem to have other people interested as well in that. And it gets my research bug out, so that's
wow,
fun.
Natasha, I think ये खजाना है हमारे मुल्क का, ये knowledge और ये heritage और ये culture, और I think ये जितनी ज़्यादा हम youngsters तक पहुँचाएं, that would be such a benefit to our own narrative कि हमने कल को क्या करना है, हमने कल को कैसा डॉक्टर बनना है, कैसा साइंटिस्ट या कैसा बाप बेटा मियाँ बीवी, I think it really shapes up, because आप लोगों के experiences and मेरे experiences, they have shaped us and they have made us who we are today. One more thing that also shapes us is the content that we invest in. So I would love to know from you कि कोई ऐसी फिल्म, किताब, गाना जिसको सुन के आपकी ज़िंदगी में कोई टर्निंग पॉइंट आया और अगर आप रिकमेंड उसको करना चाहें हमारी ऑडियंस को, or any place that you visited and that also kind of changed your perspective about life.
मैं तो सबसे कहूँगी कि नाहिद अख्तर के गाने बस सुने, all of them. Try to get through Naheed Akhtar's discography on Spotify.
Done.
A bunch of playlists, wo sune, your mind will be blown. And just keep reminding yourself while you're listening to it that this is Pakistani music, so that you readjust what is okay per se for what Pakistani music needs to be. So
Amazing.
That's what I would recommend.
Amazing. And any book that you've read or any movie that you saw that was a good experience, and you also, any experiences, recommendations from your end?
I think I think it's probably better to talk about allowing yourself or oneself to be I was going to say to keep an open mind, but to allow change to occur within oneself. So I don't think it's very helpful to think about singular events, singular books, or singular places, or singular videos that one has sort of experienced that create epiphanies or life-changing circumstances. I think everything that one experiences should and could and should change you either in a small way or a big way. तो आई थिंक उससे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है कि वो अपने आप में अपने आप को इजाज़त देना तब्दील होने के लिए, अपने आप की इजाज़त देना कि आपका दिमाग, आपका माइंड चेंज हो सके. वरना तो आई गेस हमेशा एक closed environment में एक को रहना पड़ता है. किताबें हों कि जैसे I mean I could name literally dozens and dozens of books that have affected me very profoundly, but not least of which probably I'm not even sure I should say this, but the Bible, for instance, is an incredibly moving and wonderfully affecting book, but it doesn't mean that at least speaking for myself, that I can pinpoint a singular event जो इतना dramatically change किया मेरी चीज़ को. I've always allowed myself to evolve rather than have sort of like a mental psychological revolution.
I like what you're saying, and I think your mention of Bible as well, okay, we should look at religious books also as books, and we should be opening them up to gain knowledge and to understand a different community. So I think it's a good message, and we all should be of course reading our own Quran also as a book. और अगर डर के उसको हाथ नहीं लगाना तो फिर कब खोलेंगे, कब पढ़ेंगे? I have been not reading but doing a lot of research on Mahabharata and Ramayana, because I'm a lot into mythology, Greek mythology and then Hindu mythology, and now transitioning to other types of mythology. And I think that they really teach you about the structure of life and the universe, and they give you empathy, and you become a grounded person as well. And with these thoughts, we're moving towards the closing of this podcast, which honestly I don't, but honestly I always say that at the end of every podcast. It's seldom that I come across amazing people and then they become my guests and we have this intimate conversation. But I'd also like to know that anything that's happening in the future that we should be looking out for, anything coming up, you have some secret projects coming up.
Yeah.
And which space should we be stalking you on कि वहाँ पे showcase होंगे? And what about you, Umar? You mentioned about Khan Foundation, right? No,
yes.
Khan Foundation, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so maybe anything you're working on, and Natasha, any secret you would like to reveal today?
I mean, the biggest secret is that has already been revealed, is that my album is coming out in the next couple of months. So I'm working on an independent body of things. So stalk me on the usual social media things. My name is Natasha Noorani. So just find me and my projects. You can find everything kind of amalgamated on natashanoorani.com, and then you can stalk me on my socials from there. Just make sure to keep supporting. I have some merchandise coming out in the future, which is a good way for people to independently support me. अगर आपने 7,000 रुपए का एक जोड़ा ही लेना है तो उसको छोड़ के मेरा एक सामान ले लें, अपने कमरे में सजा के रख लें. So I think this is something that I'm trying to see whether that works out as a revenue stream.
सामान ले लें?
सामान या merchandise.
Merchandise.
Okay, fair enough.
Why not, Natasha?
Not luggage.
Yeah. I could buy a luggage bag because I travel a lot. So if you have like a
I'll make you a custom
baksa. And I need your picture on it.
Done. At least you'll be able to identify your baksa that way at that.
So
if it's just a picture of me smiling.
Absolutely. And I want one of those pictures from your music video of Choro, I think I loved your looks in it. You must have a look at that song and the video also. It was amazing.
I will, yes.
And anything exciting happening at your end, Omar?
Yeah, like I said before, we've founded this family foundation that's only recently been approved by the government to actually start functioning. And we hope to be working on two things in particular to start with, which is one is on protecting environmental heritage by planting trees and things like that, protecting green spaces, and secondly, in hopefully investing in experimental architecture. So things like new materials and new designs in odd contexts. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Wow. So it's just initiating something, and of course it'll take away itself. Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of both of you, for the people that you are, for the energy that you give to everybody, and then simultaneously of the projects and initiatives that you have. So best of luck to both of you. You'll always find my support, and please be back for season 2. I have loved this conversation like anything. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone. Thank you so much for the love and support. I am so happy with this initiative. Brainmasala is going so well. So keep watching, keep supporting, and yes, you have to get Natasha's merchandise. We'll be linking it up with this podcast.